When you're preparing for mediation, which is where you go and try to reach a settlement of your case, one of the things you want to make sure you do is you have all the things you're going to need for trial prepared ahead of the mediation. Mediation is a great way to settle your case, but you're more likely to get a settlement that's in your favor if you go in there and the other side is able to know what you're going to show to the judge, the evidence you have. The mediator needs to know that so he or she can really help you get to a settlement that's favorable to you. Because if they think you don't have the records, if they think you don't have witnesses who are going to come testify about certain important things, if they don't know you have screenshots that prove the wrongdoing on the other side, they may be a lot less willing to compromise. So having your ducks in a row ahead of a mediation, just as if you were almost ready for trial, is going to be really important to make sure you get the best deal you can in your mediation. The truth is, when you start a divorce case that may ultimately wind up in a mediation or in a trial, you don't always want to give anything. Like you want to get because you've been done wrong. You want to make sure you walk out of there with the best you can. When you go to a mediation, it gives you a chance to have control over your order, because if you try the case, you lose all control. You go in, and as soon as the lawyer says, "Judge, I want to call my first witness," all the control at that point is in the judge's hands, not in your hands any longer. And at the end of the trial, you may get everything you want. The other side may get everything they want. Or most likely, nobody gets everything they want. And it's a lose-lose in a trial many times. But in the mediation, you have a chance to have control of what your order is going to look like and shape what's really going to be the rest of your life, especially if you have young children. You're going to be raising those kids as co-parents at least until the children are 19. And then you're going to have college, you're going to have grandkids, you're going to have birthdays and all kinds of family events for the rest of your life. So if you can mediate a case and get a settlement that's good for you, it's better. And here's what you got to do, though. Don't go into the mediation thinking, I'm going to get everything I want. You've got to go into a mediation with an open mind, being willing to compromise, because you got to think the other person, they are just as invested as you are in coming out of that mediation with an open mind. And if you both go in dead set, I'm not giving on anything, your mediation is set up for failure from the very beginning. So my advice to you would be, when you go to a mediation, have an open mind. Be willing to give maybe a little bit more than you want to give. Because trust me, it's worth it in the end. If you can get a settlement of your case versus trying it in front of a judge, you'll have a better outcome. When you get to a mediation on your divorce case, your case has probably been rocking along for 6 months or more, sometimes a year or more when you make it to mediation. There's a lot of discovery that's happened. There's witnesses who maybe have been subpoenaed for trial. Maybe depositions have happened. There are all kinds of things that have gone on to the preparation. And we want to make sure the mediator knows those things in order to help us reach a favorable settlement. So that brings me to this. A mediation can be an all-day, maybe multiple-day process. And so it's taxing both physically and mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. So you want to be prepared in all of those ways when you're going in for this day of mediation. Make sure you get a good night's rest ahead of time. Make sure you eat a good meal that morning. Make sure you bring a phone charger for your phone. Make sure you're willing to kind of hurry up and wait throughout the day while the mediator's meeting with the other side, which may take an hour sometimes. You may be sitting there twiddling your thumbs, just waiting on the mediator to come back. So be ready for a little boredom, but make sure you're prepared to spend the full day and not walk out just because you get exhausted, just because you get hungry. There's going to be everything you'll need there to stay there. The mediator will have a bathroom there. The mediator will have waters or snacks at the office. You're going to be fine. Just make sure you're prepared to spend the day and put whatever time you have to put in order to get a favorable outcome in your case. When you walk into a mediation with the hopes that you're about to resolve your divorce case and get all these months of preparation behind you and finally get a divorce decree and get done, you want to go in with an open mind, being willing to compromise. But just as important, you've got to know there are some things you're not willing to give on. If there are some things that you are non-starters for you, you're not willing to talk about 50-50 time with the children, or you're not willing to talk about giving any share of your retirement account or whatever. Those are just examples. Anything that you know you're not willing to give on at all, you need to draw some red lines ahead of time. Make sure your lawyer knows those. And if I was you, I'd be open and upfront with the mediator also. Make sure the mediator knows, okay, Mr. Mediator, Ms. Mediator, these are things we're not willing to give on at all. That way they know if we get to a point where that's a breakdown, either they say, hey, we're going to have to revamp and kind of get a new mindset on this and consider, are we going to give on this after all or not? Or we're going to call it off. Because there may be some red lines you're not willing to cross. And if that's where you are, be upfront and honest with yourself, with your lawyer, and with the mediator, and know the few things you're not willing to give on under any circumstances. If you are in a divorce case and you want to mediate your case, or maybe you've been ordered mediation, or maybe you're preparing or think that maybe you should ask for mediation, call our office. We'd love to help you prepare for your mediation and represent you in a way to shape and work through the best settlement that you can possibly get in your divorce case in a mediation.